A woman collapsed behind the President of the United States. The rally suddenly stopped, and moments later the official broadcast feed was cut. What happened in those few minutes reveals more about modern American politics than any campaign speech ever could. We are anonymous. No faces, no flags, no permission slips. Tonight we are going to talk about one of those moments. A moment when the cameras stopped. A moment when reality broke through the spectacle. This is the story of the rally where Trump's broadcast feed cut moments after disaster. Listen carefully. On March 11th, 2026, Donald Trump held a rally in Hebron, Kentucky. The event was supposed to be a routine political appearance. Flags, music, applause. The same slogans repeated again and again. But the political context behind this rally was not routine. Trump did not choose Kentucky randomly. The rally was held in the congressional district of Thomas Massie, a Republican lawmaker who had recently broken ranks with Trump and supported the release of files related to convicted financier Jeffrey Epstein. Those files reopened questions about connections between powerful figures and Epstein's network. At the same time, Massie had also criticized Trump's escalating military actions in Iran. So the president arrived not only to rally supporters, but also to campaign against a member of his own party. Think about that for a moment. The United States was facing rising geopolitical tensions in the Middle East. Energy markets were unstable. Americans were watching the possibility of another war unfold. And yet the president's priority that day was campaigning against a Republican congressman who embarrassed him. That was the backdrop when Trump walked onto the stage. The speech began in a familiar way, with attacks. Trump opened by launching into a bizarre story about Barack Obama and the funeral of civil rights leader Jesse Jackson. According to Trump, Obama attended the funeral and delivered what he described as a political hit job, angering Jackson's family so much that they allegedly confronted Obama outside the service. The problem is simple. There is no evidence that any such confrontation ever happened. No footage, no reporting, no witness accounts. It was a story that appears to exist only in Trump's imagination. But this has become a pattern in modern rallies. Political speeches increasingly blend rumors, social media conspiracy theories, and fictional narratives into something that resembles entertainment more than governance. Much of this ecosystem now flows through Truth Social, the platform Trump created after being banned from mainstream social media sites. It has become a central hub where conspiracy theories circulate and eventually appear inside political speeches. And then the rally took a sudden turn. About 30 minutes into the speech, something happened behind Trump on the stage risers. A woman in the crowd suddenly went pale. She appeared to struggle to stay standing. Then she collapsed. Spectators nearby shouted for help. People waved their arms to get the attention of the stage. The president stopped speaking. For viewers watching the live broadcast, the moment was chaotic. The crowd began pointing toward the ground behind Trump, where first responders rushed in. According to eyewitness accounts and reporting from multiple outlets, the woman fainted during the speech. While Trump was criticizing California Governor Gavin Newsom, Trump looked around and asked the audience a question. Do we have a doctor in the house? It turned out they did. Among the people present at the rally was Mehmet Oz, who was serving in the Trump administration as administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Oz stepped forward to assist first responders treating the woman. The speech paused. For several minutes, the crowd watched as medics worked. Trump waited on stage. At one point, he asked if someone backstage could play music for the audience. Specifically, he suggested the song Ave Maria, a piece often associated with funerals and solemn ceremonies. Eventually, the woman regained consciousness and was helped to her feet. She was escorted away from the crowd while the audience applauded. From a purely human perspective, that could have been the end of the story. A medical incident happened. The rally paused. The woman recovered. But what happened next revealed something about the atmosphere of the event once the woman had been removed. Trump returned to the microphone and resumed speaking. His next remark stunned many viewers. Trump joked that the topic he had been discussing, California Governor Gavin Newsom, might have been the reason the woman fainted. Then he launched directly into a new attack on Newsom, mocking his intelligence and suggesting he had cognitive problems. The insult appeared to reference Newsom's dyslexia, a learning disorder that affects reading ability. Millions of Americans live with dyslexia. Many of them go on to become scientists, engineers, teachers, and political leaders. Newsom himself has spoken publicly about overcoming the challenge to build his career. Yet the president chose that moment, immediately after a medical emergency, to mock it. And the contradictions continued. Trump then began boasting about the strength of the American economy, claiming that Americans were taking home 20 to 30% more income thanks to his policies. But economists have painted a more complicated picture. Rising costs of living, energy prices, and household debt have placed pressure on many families. Surveys show declining consumer confidence and increasing reliance on credit. Analysts have warned that millions of Americans are struggling to keep up with everyday expenses. Yet at rallies, the message remains simple. Everything is better than ever. The numbers say otherwise. The spectacle did not end there. Among the guests at the rally was internet celebrity turned boxer Jake Paul. Once known primarily for viral videos and internet controversies, Paul has increasingly aligned himself with right-wing political figures. Trump invited him on stage. Paul told the crowd that God was on their side and that everyone in the audience had to do their part to stand on the right side of history. Then Trump made an unusual prediction. He suggested Jake Paul might someday run for political office and offered him what he called his complete and total endorsement. For many observers, the moment symbolized the strange fusion of politics, celebrity culture, and influencer media that now dominates modern campaigns. But the most serious part of the rally came when Trump began discussing the war in Iran. During the speech, he praised a military campaign he called Operation Epic Fury, presenting it as a decisive victory. Crowds cheered, yet within minutes his explanation became confusing. At one moment, Trump claimed the operatio and had destroyed Iran's nuclear capability. At another moment, he said that had already happened months earlier during a different mission known as Midnight Hammer. The contradiction is obvious. You cannot completely destroy something twice. Trump then turned to another subject, the nuclear agreement with Iran, known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. This international deal placed strict monitoring and limitations on Iran's nuclear program. Inspectors were allowed to verify compliance and restrict the development of nuclear material for years. Trump withdrew the United States from that agreement in 2018. Critics warned that leaving the deal would remove oversight and accelerate Iran's nuclear ambitions. But at the rally, Trump argued the opposite. He claimed the agreement would have allowed Iran to quickly obtain nuclear weapons, a claim disputed by many nuclear policy experts. So within one single speech, the president managed to invent a story about Obama, pause for a medical emergency, mock a disability, misrepresent economic statistics, promote a celebrity influencer for political office, and contradict himself about a military conflict, all in less than an hour. Meanwhile, the reality of that conflict was far from abstract. Reports emerging during that period described civilian casualties, displacement, and growing instability in the region. Wars are not campaign slogans. They are human tragedies measured in destroyed homes, wounded soldiers, and grieving families. But together they form a picture of how political reality is constructed in the 21st century. A reality where spectacle replaces policy, where numbers are invented in real time, where crises become entertainment. We are anonymous. We do not ask you to blindly trust our words. We ask you to verify them. Check the footage. Read the reporting. Compare the claims to the evidence. Because democracy does not collapse overnight. It erodes slowly, one distortion at a time. And the only defense against that erosion is an informed public willing to question power. If you believe truth matters more than propaganda, then share this information. Keep asking questions. Keep demanding evidence, because transparency is power, and the truth only survives when people refuse to look away.